Right. Okay, well, this is the first card for July, and it's named in your instructions as a split card because when it's closed, it just looks like it's a cute little panel card. But when you open it up, it's actually has the opening right here. So what you're going to do with your cardstock is there's one piece that is the back and this top part that you'll score. And then there's an extra piece that you cut for the bottom. And the one trick with this is that when you're putting this little cut apart, that's kind of your bridge, put this flat on your table and line it up with the back so that they end up being the same distance from the bottom. Because this doesn't really matter, the little space in here, how big that is, but you do want the bottom to be level. So by taking this little piece and lining it up with the bottom and then adhering this on top, it'll work it'll get where you want to be.
Okay.
And then this little piece here is just a scrap that I did a little fan fold on, and I thought it just added a little bit, since it was green, it just kind of added a little extra to the flower. And the flower, I pulled off a couple of the little petals, so it was a little smaller. And then on the inside, I used the full July panel, but see how it's a little off center? And that's so that when it's closed, it fits behind this panel right here.
Okay.
So again, the tricks are lining up the bottoms before you adhere this, remembering here that don't put adhesive over the whole thing, because you can see the middle is not against anything except the inside of your card. And then, let's see. Here is actually part of the cut apart. It's not an extra layer. So it's just the cream colored cardstock, the same as you used for the card. The next card for July is called the Joy Fold card. And every time I do a card like this, I mean to look it up and see why it's called that. But it's a really interesting fold in that this opens up and this opens up. And it just gives you a lot of little surfaces on it. So again, you start with a single piece right here. This here is what you're going to cut and then score. This is a separate piece that's a little bit smaller and a little bit narrower, and it is scored right in half. So you can see the inside and the outside are the same. So the tricks are to adhere this pink. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Adhere the pink surface first, and you might as well do both pieces right here. And then the extra piece goes right on top. And you can see when this is folded up, it's centered here. This is just a little gift card holder that you'll cut according to the instructions, score at a 1/2 inch on 3 sides, fold it, clip your corners, and if you have a little circle punch, that's a good way to cut the little divot right there to make it a bit easier. On the outside, I used one of the charms that you have in your packet and spent a lot of time trying to thread it through the ribbon, and it just was too small. So it's actually just glued on here. So after you put your bow on, you can just put a dot of wet adhesive and stick it right up there underneath the knot. And I just thought it was a nice little finish to the card. So any questions about the July cards? And you can see there's little bits and pieces that you'll have from your cut apart sheet that you can just layer wherever you want to do that. If you wanted to put a second pocket in for something, you've got room over here. But just it was, the paper was really a good fit for this type of card.
It looks very straightforward.
Yeah, and it's a card that if you've got papers with, horizontal cut aparts, they're perfect for that type of card. So for August, we've got a wrap pocket card. And if I take this out, you'll see that this starts out as a full 12-inch piece. And it's scored at 4 and 8. And then you're going to cut from your score lines down to the sides to make these little flaps.
That looks familiar.
Yes, we've done these before. And then you'll take a piece of the pattern paper, and it's cut just a tiny bit smaller. So this ends up being 4 inches. Your pattern piece is 3 3/4 inch in a rectangle, and you're just going to cut it on the diagonal. So from top left corner down to bottom right corner, and one piece you flip over, and that's this piece, and the other piece is this one. And then the piece inside, if you're running short of paper or if you cut it a bit short, this is a good place to use it because nothing down here shows. So if your paper, I think mine actually does not go, it's about a 1/2 inch short going all the way down to the bottom, but it doesn't show at all. So a couple tips. This is just a little border piece. Put this on first before you adhere the bottom, and then fold this one over. And really, you just need to adhere the bottom of the first flap that you put down. This one, nothing's going anywhere because it's not, you can see how that's still kind of open. I just adhered it right here in the corner. So you just don't get a lot of glue or tape on there.
Okay.
Again, use some of your tiny little cut aparts. Another little fan fold. I found that I do an artist trading card exchange group, and I think I've used that on the last 2 series of cards that I've done. So I need to find something else to use too. But it just fills a nice little gap on a small card, and it's flat for mailing. And then your inside is the full cut apart of actually, this is a journaling card. So this is a journaling card. And then on the back, I use the August calendar page and some of the border for the embellishment. And then it just slides right in. And I wrote on your instructions this time, but I think it's worth remembering that the cards are designed to cut apart one of your 8x8 sheets that you have, and then use the other one for the reverse side pattern. But in many cases, I end up using this border strip in some way to the extent that you actually need two of them. So your instructions say as the very first thing, cut off the border from the second 8x8 sheet. And that's what we're talking about there, so that you have these for subsequent cards. And then the second card is a version of the double Z card, but it's done on the mini slimline side. So it's 3 inches by 6 inches. And this time I've done the Z panel much wider and have it in the center of the card. I think back in the first series we did a small border and it was down at the bottom. So it was kind of, like a stand. But this one, if you look at it, it is just a regular mini fold card base. It's 7 inches by 6, scored in half. So it's 3.5. I may have said 3 before, but it's 3.5 by 6. And then scored at 3.5 for the center fold. And then this is scored at 1 3/4 for this fold. This piece, if you look closely, it's the same scoring, just reversed. So here's your longer piece, and then here's your 2 little sides that's here. Don't forget to put your pattern paper down first before you put this on top of it. And then just line up the ends. And all you need on these pink pieces is adhesive here and here, so that everything, as you can see, is open in the middle. And if you look at it, that's how it gets the name Z. So you can see double Z's right there. And then with September, this one has a couple names to it. I think it probably is a box panel card. And when you first look at it, it's a little difficult to see what the design is. But if I turn it to the side, you can see that it actually sits up like this. And the feature is that it folds flat for mailing.
That's good.
So when you're scoring your paper, this is going to be your first score right here. This is 1 inch away. This, I think, is 3 inches. This is 1 inch. And then if you look inside right here, see the little white strip? I left it, I didn't cover that because I wanted you to be able to see how that's what actually is attaching all this together. And then everything else, since it's all one piece, just hinges on that. So a trick that helps it see here on the little white flap, how I mitered the edge. That just helps you from having to line it up perfectly straight. And so that just keeps all the corners inside with that. This is matted on a white piece. And when you're putting it down, you might want to have your envelope beside of you so that when you go like this, you can make sure that the card from here to the bottom is going to fit in your envelope. Because you can either shorten it by putting the panel lower on this piece, or if you have more room, you could move it up. But the mechanism is just, it folds and then it comes down for your recipient to be able to sit it. And a trick for assembling this is put this flat on your work surface as you're attaching this so that it is level and you can get this lined up so it's straight. If you're doing it on your hands, it's easy to get it too high so that this piece doesn't match this length and it'll be lopsided. But again, I'm kind of sad to say there's another one of those little fan folds on the card. So don't just give the card to the same person. But, and then it's a full blue flower. If you look closely, you can see that I leave those little green wires on and just twirl it around a pencil or chopstick or something that you might have handy just to give a little bit of interest on there. What's that?
She's just saying that the flowers make it thick for trying to mail it.
Yeah, you know, they are soft and you can kind of squish them down, or if you had another flower, you could see. In fact, this one I was playing around with it to see how flat you could go with it. And they will flatten out, but you do have the bud in the middle. But you could take the bud out and just put like a button or a piece of bling or something in there. And I think you could, that'd work well too if you need something flat for mailing. Leave the outside leaves and then just remove this.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now I've got all kinds of torn apart flowers sitting over here. And then the last card, I'm just calling it a pull tab. It's the square card in the series. And if you pull this little, again, when you look at it, it looks like, oh, that's a nice layered panel card. But if you pull this out, you've got 3 panels that I've just decorated with some of the familiar design elements that you've seen before, and centered it on the front of the card. And then when you open the card, I used a piece. This is the reverse side of the journaling card. So the woman's little face is the same style as the September series. And then here's that border strip that I've been using that will just give you the finish down here. Now, the one thing I would do with this, and I wanted to, is that I would also mat these 2 pieces. And if you're going to finish the card, you might as well just finish the card. I wasn't sure what we were going to need for October, November, and December, but we're not really going to use blue for that. So if you had any blue left or any of this pattern left, I think it would be a nice finish to make this just a really, rich looking card to go ahead and cover these 2 little back panels too. And then this is one of the buttons that are in your kit. I just cut the shank off and I just have I use my kitchen shears to do that. Certainly not your Tim Holtz or any of your fancy fussy cutting scissors, but they cut off very easily. They may fly across the room that you'll have to go look for it, but that just is a pretty flat little embellishment to put on that. And then in your 8x8, there's several different sayings here. So if there's something that you think might be more appropriate for the person you're sending to, you've got a lot of choices with that.
Did you use on the front of her holding that up the large 12 sheet piece of paper for a picture holding up the bulb with the flower in it?
Um,
The large picture or the smaller one from the book?
I don't think it's the larger one. I have a pad. Let me grab it and see.
Bring this down.
She said you should put the card down there, taps that in block size, so for sure.
No, Bev, it is the one from your sheet of paper.
The big one?
It's this one right here.
Yeah, okay. I thought that looked larger. I wonder, why do we have this? And that's a nice large sheet.
But the cut up on the journaling sheet puts on the
Yeah.
back of the one you're looking at.
Yeah. It's hey,
Yeah, I think we're finding that there's a lot of extra pieces
mhm.
to at least make a little tag or add to the card. You can always, finish the back, this one, finish these little pieces here.
Back for your message.
So we've got 3 more months. Are there any cards that we haven't covered yet that you'd like the design to be used in September, October, November?
Where's your cards from January?
You mean October, November, December?
October, November, December are the ones that will meet in September about.
Okay.
So December, are you, would you like things that incorporate gift card holders? Is that something that you'd use in December?
A gift
That
card
would be nice.
holder is a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
Is anyone working on any other projects that you want to show off?
I've already mailed them.
Yes, we're gonna show you a card. Let's see if I put it in front of you. They'll show you.
This one? It's not done yet. You don't see us, do you?
No, turn your video on.
Well, I thought it was on. Here, we're trying to figure it out.
Oh, right here.
It should be at the bottom of your screen. There we go. We see you.
Okay, this card is not finished, but this is called a pinwheel card. And it folds flat to mail, but it has four sections on a core, on a center core.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's pretty easy. Actually, it's pretty easy.
It's very easy.
So the core is a 4.5 by 5 inch sheet of paper that you score at every inch, and then you fold it around to create the square tube.
Uh-huh.
The panels, I don't remember the size of the panels, but here, just a second, I can tell you. The panels are roughly 4 by 5. They're 4 by 5. So you have a 4x5 panel. and
Uh-huh.
then You glue each of the 4x5 panels to one of the sides
Okay.
of the tube.
That's really
And-
clever.
And then and then I have dimensions. I could email you the instructions. I have dimensions for the papers that you cut for the,
Mhm.
and actually you could decorate the panels any way you wanted to.
Yeah, that is really nice, especially since it folds flat.
Yes, it folds just like that to put in an envelope.
Okay, well, would you mind if that was one of our upcoming 6 cards?
No, since I've mastered making it, I wouldn't mind at all.
No, I think that's really nice. And then folding flat would be perfect for, cards that will be holiday cards. That's great.
I will send you the instructions.
Okay, thanks a
through
lot.
email. Yeah, sure, no problem.
And the graphic 45 paper would work well because you've got lots of choices, the pattern pieces and the
Solids.
solids and the
Journaling cards
the
and the,
journaling cards.
cut
all that.
aparts.
Yeah, cut aparts, those would all work well for this card.
Anything else you ladies want to show us?
no, that's all. That's all I got.
That's adorable.
That is really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. I've just been doing some samples for the store. There was a slimline, but the full size, the ones that are like 4x9 die sets. And let me reach over here and I'll show you what. So the base, although there's a lot of pieces in the set, would actually cut something here that would fit on a 4x8.5-inch panel. So, that's easy just to layer up pretty paper. And you can see this is Graphic 45's Princess line. But I thought there's got to be something else just to use the same die. So this card is the same piece, but I scored it and folded it up to make a pocket and then put a little bow on it. And then this also is in the die set, this tag and a couple other little pieces
Nice tag.
there. So it's just, you can't go wrong. And then a little envelope pocket and some design on it. But you all know you can't go wrong with Graphic 45 paper.
No, you can't.
And then another use for the Graphic 45 that I found another die that makes these little 3D houses. And Bev, I think we kind of misled you thinking that you were getting a whole project instead of just the die.
That's okay. No, I thought I know I'm just getting the die.
But the die makes these little houses.
Oh my gosh.
And it actually, when you cut it out, has a loop on top so that you could string these all together and make Christmas is what first came to mind, but I wanted to just see what it would look like if you just made it
Oh, how
with
cute.
flowers and
Cute.
bows and things. So this is just on a Graphic 45 tag, and then just layered up some. This is, I think, the first time I've ever done the little leaves, the Graphic 45 die to make the leaf is in one of their tag kits. And I did it in the white just to see what that looked like. And then another little trick, because that die seems to be difficult to get out of the die itself, is I've been using parchment paper
Oh, okay.
on top of the paper. And the benefit with that is not only it makes it easier to come out, but then you have a perfect die out of the parchment paper, which is a whole different look with, splatter some little paint on it or glitter, spray or something. But that's just some of the things that I've been working on for some samples for some of the dyes that are available in the store.
Nice.
That's a cute card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Graphic 45 tag,
Nice.
but you could certainly put it on a card. I did something just to see what it would look like in Christmas. And let me reach over here. So the Christmas one here is, see, totally different paper. And then this is for anybody who's ever been to a Stampin' Up! Party. That's the tree die, just cut multiple times and folded in half and glued together. And nobody's going to look at this little fan fold paper at the bottom because I told you I was on a roll this time.
How cute.
But that's just a little
That is-
tag,
that's adorable.
punch a hole in it, stick it on a bag or a bottle of wine, and you've got a nice little gift card for somebody.
Yeah, that is cute. I want that house done. Not really.
So I guess if we have no more show and tells or questions or things, we can, I guess it's probably dinner time for Bev and cocktail time for the two of you in Texas. And so I will get this posted and send out a link. And if you have any questions or any thoughts or suggestions, just email them to me and we should be great.
Okay.
Debbie, can
Yes.
I can email the instructions to the same email that you
Yes.
send us? Okay,
Yes, that'll work.
all righty.
Okay, well, nice to see you all.
All righty.
too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.